Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome. So we're very glad that you could join our Spiral Dynamics Salon tonight. And our topic today is creating sustainable trade between the global North and the global South. So my name is Rasa, and tonight I'm joined by my colleagues from the Spiral Dynamics Foundation, Auke and John. And we're delighted to host this session. So because tonight offers a great opportunity to move beyond theoretical understanding of spiral dynamics and witness it in action. For decades, the late Dr. Don Beck challenged us to go further than the focus on mere ethical intent, which means simply being the change we want to see. He insisted that for the complex global problems we face, we must elevate our thinking to the systemic wisdom level, and that we must learn how to effectively do the change the world requires in a practical and sustainable way. And our presenter tonight, Alain Valls, embodies this journey. So Alain, to introduce Alain a little bit, so he built a distinguished career as a senior consultant in human talent and change management. And after meeting Dr. Don Beck, he became deeply involved in the Center for Human Emergence Netherlands, serving as an executive board member and co-director of its consulting company, Sinervate. So his journey took a profound new direction when the representative of the Dagomba tribe in Ghana invited him to work with them. So their challenge was actually a perfect storm of systemic imbalance, where rural communities were suffering due to exploitative international trading and ineffective developmental aid that failed to align with the true priorities and needs. So tonight, we will explore this challenge and the possible solutions that emerge. But what you will hear is not only a story of community empowerment, but a powerful example of what it truly means to both be and do the change in our crazy complex world. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Alain Valls. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I will share my screen so that you can see my slides, and we will kick off. You see my screen now?
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. Let me start with the program for this evening. Why doesn't it go down? Yeah, here we are. We have a long time together, and I'm very grateful for the time that we have together. I will use part of our time to share my story, and after me sharing my story, we have time for questions, and then I will ask you to go into subgroups and work with a question in your subgroup for 20 minutes. And then after, we will return together and we have a dialogue or an inquiry in plenary that is following on your work in the subgroups. And then it is time. So any questions about the program? Good. I took my presentation also in 3 parts. So I will start with an intro about some context of where I and we are working in. Then I will ask us to do an exercise together, a brief exercise. And from there, I will go more into depth into the specific content of this whole journey and project. So how did this journey begin? As Raza shared, community leaders from the Dagomba tribe invited me to come to Ghana, and that was around 2011. And I would like to acknowledge here that this is where the Deepalia journey started, but not where it was initiated. This whole project and this whole journey is inspired by Dr. Don Beck, and actually was born in my period in the Center of Human Emergence, where we did a project in Zambia, and through that, the community in Ghana found me. And they reached out to me with a very specific and concrete goal. They said, we do not need people coming here telling us what we need to do and how we need to do it. We know what is good for our communities and what our communities need. We need people who can relate and engage with us and help us in doing the things that we know our community needs. And underneath, there are two key problems, which many of the community members, also in Zambia, actually shared with us. The key is international trade is not benefiting the local communities, and developmental aid is not serving the community's priorities and needs. I can go more deeply into this, but I'm afraid that I will say some things that will confront you, and probably they will come back later. But what you see is basically is trade. The closer you are to the end consumer in Europe, the more profit is being made. And basically, the communities and the women in Africa, they receive the crumbs that are left after the pie has been divided. And with developmental aid, often there is an external partner, there is external finance, an external program in which communities need to comply. And the needs and the priorities of the communities in the rural areas are very primary needs. So basically, the people, they didn't feel seen, they didn't feel acknowledged, they don't feel helped, despite all efforts and good intentions. And they want simple things: peace, peaceful life, peace community. They want their children to have a future in the place where they are born. They want food on the table, and they want to have a protected, a safe environment to live in. So, to give some more context, who are the communities that we are working with, and where are they? The Dagomba tribe is one of the larger and most influential tribes in Ghana. There are two tribes that really have a lot of power, the Ashanti and the Dagomba. And the Dagomba are in northern region. And basically, in northern region, the tribal values and the tribal communities are very, very strong. And also the power of the chiefs is actually in many cases larger than the power of governments. I can say more, but Ghana is West Africa. We are in the northern part of Ghana, which I think also is important. The west coast of Ghana is one of the most fertile areas of West Africa. And the northern area, Tamale and above, is sub-Sahara. So weather is completely different there. It is 35 to 40 degrees. You can only do farming for about 4 to 6 months. Also, a lot of people in Africa, in Ghana, see northern region and Dagbon states, the area of the Dagomba tribe, is really a state within a state where things are far more challenging than in the rest of the country. People that we are working with are living in the rural areas. And in spiral dynamics terms, their primary scope is purple, red, and beige. It is so much about survival. It's so much about food.
I think Onlen's line is breaking up. I just think we should give it a moment to see whether he comes back.
It's the purple gods working their magic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think he's dropped out altogether.
Hello?
Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah. You
Ghanaian internet, though I'm in the Netherlands.
yeah. I was wondering about that. Okay.
I will share my screen again.
Thanks.
So we're back on track. So I also met educated people, but the people we are working with are poor, lowly educated, and they're really in this purple red experience. To give one example, when we discuss that things need to be done, often during the meeting, people want to start organizing things already. And many people are concerned about having food on the table for my family today. So shea butter is part of the tradition and part of the history and life of people in the Dagomba tribe. And this is a lot of information, and I will go more deep into the trading part later on. But I didn't know anything about shea butter, so I thought it would be good to share with you. Shea butter is a natural fat that comes from a shea tree. Uh, the tree can grow 300 years old. It also has a spiritual value in the community. It is for the community much more value than only for the shea nuts, from the pit from the shea fruit, shea butter is extracted. The oil is extracted from the pit of the fruit. But the tree has a far more economical value than the shea butter and the shea oil only for the people in the tribe. And shea butter handcraft is passed over from mother to generation to daughter, from generation to generation, and it gives a woman a way to earn her own income. Shea butter is used also in the international market. About 95% of shea trading is trading in shea nuts that are factory processes into edible oils, which disappear in chocolates, in vegan candy bars, and in vegan hamburgers and stuff like that. So 95% is trade of shea nuts, the raw nuts, being exported or being brought to a factory to be machine processed into edible oils. Only 5% of the global market is the market that we are working in, and that is for cosmetics. Because shea butter is also the only natural fat that has all the vitamins and minerals for your skin. It is literally food for your skin, and it's amazing. What we see is the market has changed a lot, and it is still a growing market. It is now about $6 billion per year, with a growth rate of 10% per year, the shea trade. And most of it is shea nut trading, and about 70 to 80% of all shea nuts come from Ghana and Burkina Faso. So Ghana is a key player in the international shea trade. And yeah, this was the introduction. So Now, I've shared a little bit more about the context that we are working in and hope to give you some impression of the people that we are working with. And I have been thinking about what is this story about. It was very difficult because I have many stories and I wanted to focus. But in a sense, the story is about friendship, trust, hope, and perseverance. Umar and I, we started this whole journey together. He was already working with the women from Dipalia, and I started helping him. It took quite some time for me to really step in and really start working with Umar. I will come back to that later. But basically, everything that we have created and organized is based on the friendship and the relationship of trust that Umar and I have. And this story is about over a decade of my life and over a decade of our life together. And a lot of things have happened over time. Every time our friendship, our trust has been challenged, our trust in each other. And during all the things that we have experienced together as two friends from a complete different worldview and from a complete different perspective of life and reality, we really co-create. We really have the created the space where our different perspectives can come together, and together we can create something that is beyond what we both thought of individually and is better than we could thought of separately. So basically, this is a story about two friends who are trying to do good for the people in their communities who are having a really difficult and challenging life. At the same time, it is a story about transformative change on systems level, and that is actually how it unfolded. I didn't know anything about shea butter when I started. I had completely different plans. When I was invited, I really didn't know if I would step in and I went to Ghana, but I had complete different plans from where we are now. So it didn't start like that, but it evolved into something where we are now that is a prototype for regenerative international trading. Why did we choose to work with women making shea butter? Well, a very important lesson from spiral dynamics is to meet people where they are. It is not about lifts. It is not about growth to a higher, more complex value system. It is about meeting people where they are. These communities that we are working with are the primary focus of their reality is in purple, red, beige. Of course, there are influences of blue, orange, and green. This is their reality. And that is also where we started. Secondly, shea butter is part of a centuries-old tradition. So it is where they are. That is the main reason and a very important lesson in every change process or every process of transformation. Meet them where they are. It is not about lift, it is about fit. Secondly, empowering a woman is empowering a community. I strongly believe in that, especially in Africa. And at the same time, this is very much complex because the gender relationships, especially in the rural areas, but actually in whole of Ghana, between male and female are very different from the gender relationships that I'm used to. And that I also have been working for as an agent in the Netherlands. I've been working on gender equality in national politics in the Netherlands for many times. So that was another reason I have the network also that I can engage with if I start doing things with women in Africa, to see how my network in the Netherlands can help us and support us in moving forward. Another important thing, of course, is feeding a woman is feeding the family. If you give money to the man, you don't know for sure. But if you give money to the woman, often you know for sure that first the money is used for the family. And the other thing I already mentioned, it's also a growing market, $6 billion per year with a growth rate of 10% per year. There is potential. So that was why I decided to step in. Now, I shared that I took a lot of time to step in and really start working together. And when Umar and when we started working together, we did a small exercise together. And I would like to do that exercise here with us as well. And it is a visualization. So for the next 3 to 5 minutes, I would like you to sit comfortably and close your eyes so that we can go on a journey. So take a deep in-breath and breathe out. And just let's start with a few breathing in. Aware that I'm breathing in. And breathing out. Aware that I'm breathing out. When I breathe in, I feel my abdomen rising. When I breathe out, I feel my abdomen falling. When I breathe in, I become aware of my body. When I breathe out, I let go and relax. Now, I want you to visualize that you are standing on the street in front of a store, and the store sign says, Beyond Fair Trade Store. And you enter this store, you enter the Beyond Fair Trade Store. And when you enter the store, just look around. You see all these products in the store that are beyond fair trade. But what does that mean, beyond fair trade? All the things that are sold in this beyond fair trade store empower you that when you buy it, you know that what you have bought, and by buying this product, you restore nature and you reduce poverty. The Beyond Fair Trade store sells products that return money to healing nature and to reducing poverty. Just look around. What kind of products do you see? How does the store look like? How do the products look like? How does it feel to be inside there? And now imagine how the world would look like if every product we would buy would contribute to healing of nature and ending of poverty. And now I want you to turn around and walk outside the store and step into the world of beyond fair trade. What do you see? What is different? In a world where money is used as a catalyzer to heal nature and to reduce poverty. Nature is healthy. People are healthy. How does it look like? I'll take 1 or 2 more breaths. Look around. One more time before we open our eyes again and return to the here and now. So basically, this is what Uma and I started with visualizing a future we want to make real. And many of you probably have seen all the images that are here in our circles. The Albert Einstein quote and the Buckminster Fuller quote are often shared, and they are so true, and it's so easy to be said. And at the same time, it is, I know now by experience, extremely challenging to really act accordingly. And basically, that is what we have been doing. So Uma and I, we started from scratch. There was nothing there. There were women who knew how to make shea butter, but they were making small contents, maybe selling a pound once a week on the local markets, and that was it. We started as a community from purple reds with nothing. So also in terms of spiral dynamics, we were able to build up to where we are now, starting from purple red, moving up to orange green. And step by step, we did that. So that makes it very rich and enriching, at least for me, on a personal level. I've learned so much also about myself during this whole journey. And by taking one step at a time, seeing what happens next, and then from there, taking our next step, we came into what we now call a meshwork. So how did this journey unfold? And how did our project evolve? This is the slide, actually, what it's all about. We started with building relationships of trust. I was invited by people who I didn't know to a country that I didn't know, and I had completely different plans from what I'm doing now. So it took me 3 years to step into and to start working with Umar. Because first, we had to find our ways for, are we going to do something together? And if so, yes, what, why, and how? And I had developed a leadership development program called Leap into Life. And the part of that leadership development program was a visit to Africa. It was a U process where the bottom of the U was a visit to Africa. And my intention was going to Ghana before we were with the community in Zambia in conversation about visiting them. So my image was I have a leadership development program, and the first search was how can bringing people from Europe to rural Africa serve the community in Africa as well. After 3 years of searching, I thought this is not going to work. So actually, I went to Ghana in 2014 to close this whole journey and to say goodbye. And then Umar asked me, would you like to work with me? And later I discovered that Umar was my host. I stayed in his house, but other people invited me and I was trying to work with other people. Umar was the man on the background driving the car. His wife cooked for me and did my laundry. And he was always the silent driver, the man on the background. And when I went to Ghana to say goodbye, of course I went to visit him. And when he asked me if I wanted to work with him, then actually a new box of Pandora opened and a new window of opportunities opened. Because then, only years later, I found out that Umar was not only my host, but also the largest sponsor for the invitation to Ghana. And I also learned that Umar was the man who was already working with Dipalia. So I started helping him. And because there was nothing there, we started with organizing production contracts in Ghana. Also, Action Red. So from Purple, building relationships, it took several years for me to step in and to start working with Umar. And our next step was Red, creating business for the women, organizing contracts, get things done. And we succeeded. So Dipalia got the first contract in 2014, that is. And on the image below, you see Umar and Sanatu. Sanatu was the organizer of Dipalia, who signed the first contract for products to produce shea butter in Ghana for companies that are exporting it. And as I said, most of the shea trading is shea nut trading. Shea butter, so the shea butter trading, it was really wonderful that we got a contract for the women from Dipalia. And the contracts expanded over time because organizing the production contracts and organized the way that we organized how the women worked, Dipalia got an extreme strong reputation. We did everything in the traditional way. The women make shea butter from home in the same pots that they cook the food in, but we had organized it in a way that every steps that we could check quality in between, and we did it in very simple ways. We let a boy or a girl go when the women finished a stage. Somebody went through past their houses to see have you done it well, and is it quality okay? And the women got an amount of shea nuts to make an amount of kilo of shea butter, and then 2 weeks later they will bring it to the mosque or to the school, and then it will be collected from there. Over time, the women got a very strong reputation because the way that we had organized it, it didn't make much difference which woman had made the shea butter. And that's one of the points with shea butter made from home. it can be of different quality. And we also, Deepalia, built up a very strong reputation as reliable, always ready in time, and also reliable in terms of money, which is not always the case as well. So Deepalia became one of the most valued producers of handcrafted shea butter. The women were making it from home, and I didn't know how much a woman was earning from making shea butter. So that was a question that I had for what does a woman actually make? Because the payments are so complex, and Uma and I try to organize the contracts for the women, but there you already see that there is nothing to negotiate. A woman in Africa, basically every woman in West Africa can make shea butter. So if you don't want to make it for the price that it's offered to you, the buyer will try to find somebody else who will. And often the buyer finds somebody else who will. So there's a lot of pressure on take it or leave it. And there's hardly any negotiation or bargaining space for the women. And that has become worse over time. And the payments then are so complex. A woman gets a few cents for this, a few cents for that, a few cents for such. And if the quality is good, a bonus for all nickels and dimes. And it took me 2 years and about 8 to 10 contracts for making shea butter to calculate what I wanted to know. How much does a woman earn per day if she makes shea butter for the international market? What is the daily income that she has to put in her hands to take home to spend on her family? The poverty rate for Ghana and Western Africa is $2 per day. That is the poverty rate by the UN defined for West Africa. So I was shocked when I discovered, with my feet on the ground, knowing the contracts, knowing how much time a woman takes her to make the shea butter, knowing how much she can make max in a period of 2 weeks. I came to the I was really shocked. It is about 15 to 20 cents, so less than 10% of the poverty rate that the women earn making shea butter. But most shea trade is not making shea butter. It's the women selling the shea nuts instead of making butter and sell the product. And that is what we do with Africa. And instead of adding value in the region, in the rural areas, the raw materials are taken from the rural areas at a lowest price possible. And we do that with shea. We also do that with the metals for our computers and for our batteries in our electric cars, etc., etc. Basically, it is normal. It is normal that the trade that we do, that we start paying, at least in Africa, far below poverty for raw materials. I was shocked. And this is what we try to do different. And this is also what we are doing different. And of course, it touched me because over time, these people became friends, a family, extended family. Now, I came as a stranger, as a white man, and now I'm considered one of the community and an adopted child and a community leader within the community. So I'm one of us, which is quite exceptional for such a closed purple community. but discovering how little the women earn, Wilma and I, we were quite naive, and we thought if we built them a shea butter production center, because they're making from home, and if they have a center, maybe we can improve their position in the market, because if they have a center, it shows more reliability. We can get more contracts, and we can get better contracts. Oma and I, we started building our own shea butter production center, and until then, we were still doing this as two friends with our own money, and in service of the community, basically. And so we built our first shea butter production center, a simple one in a traditional way, what we know. And there you see another aspect, that climate change is real. The storms in northern region are much heavier than they have ever been. So the droughts are also heavier. So the weather extremes have become more extreme. So when the rain comes, it comes too late or not enough, or when it comes, it's too much. And the shea butter production center that we built, after the second storm, it was gone. It had collapsed. The buildings that we had built had collapsed. So then we tried again, and that is when I set up Dipalia Foundation in the Netherlands, and that was around 2000, 2015, 2016. In 2016, I set up the Leap into Life Foundation in the Netherlands. So Leap into Life turns from a leadership development program into a Netherlands-based foundation, a non-profit foundation, because we wanted to reach out to people beyond our communities, because Uma and I, we could not reinvest anymore. We saw that we needed to build a stronger and better center. And we also started slowly to discover that many of the causes of the problems that we have as community in the rural areas of Ghana have a cause outside the communities of Ghana. But first, we wanted to engage with people outside the community to help us to build the center as a community. So with the Leap into Life Foundation, we managed to raise quite a lot of money. And in total, it's about, I think, over 250,000 euros in cash, and a lot in kind as well. And we managed to build a huge shea butter production center. And it's interesting. First, I went to the Dutch government and to the Dutch embassy in Ghana, asking them, my time. Well, I'm checking my time, and the next part is also maybe even more interesting. We managed to build the largest shea butter production center in Ghana for handcrafted shea butter, and it really is a statement. People didn't believe it was possible when it was there. People are still coming to visit the center, and the way that we have built it is also gave us a lot of position and respect in the community. And I did not only manage to raise money for building the center, we also managed to raise money for exporting our first container to Europe. So the idea was, let's cut out the middleman traders and go directly into the business-to-business market and sell shea butter ourselves from Ghana as a community in Africa, supported by a foundation in the Netherlands, in Europe, and elsewhere abroad. Then we also discovered that is very difficult for a foundation and a women's cooperative. So we thought the next step would be to set up an enterprise in the Netherlands. So next to the foundation, we set up a business, a limited, called Toen Thibault. And Toen Thibault was an enterprise which was partly owned by the Leap into Life Foundation and partly owned by the community in Ghana. I was one of the shareholders as representative of the community, and the other shares were owned by the Leap into Life Foundation. And this is where a lot of learning came for me. I spent already a lot of time, and I also found it important that what I do has value. So I also try to find ways to get paid for the work that I do. That was one reason why I didn't go into the foundation board myself, and gave out roles with formal positions in blue to people who are inspired by yellow in a cognitive way. But to make a long story short, it went wrong because where my initial and our journey is that we have a community in Ghana and we have a foundation in the Netherlands that serves the community, and we have a company in the Netherlands that is owned by the foundation, serves the foundation, and serves the which serves the community. The company became more important, and after all the work that Uber and I have been doing, people who were running the company were turning things around. So it was, we need a foundation for the company. And people were interested in the business side and making the business in the traditional way, which was never how it was intended to be. That is one. And it was very difficult for me to see that the people from Leap into Life Foundation, the board, was also part of the board of the trading company, that they were not interested in the foundation at all. They were not interested in the community at all. They were interested in the business potential. And in that period also is the period that COVID broke out. So a lot of things came together. We had the worst period to start as a new player in the market with a different story about quality, the most impossible moment to start with a new company. But I already had established relationships with some business clients that are still with us, and slowly we did manage to proceed despite everything that was against us. What I learned from there is, in the end, we got into a fight. Like, who is the boss? And the people with the formal roles, officially in blue and orange, are the hierarchy roles. But this whole thing was set up not as a hierarchy, but as a holarchy. And I always said, I have all the power, so I don't need to have the formal positions of power as well. And that is been a very challenging and difficult period. And what I see, I don't blame others. What I see is, I thought if I want to make the next step, I need to engage with people who have been successful in business and who know how the game is being played. And I thought I was working with people who were inspired by what I was doing, which they were. But my learning was that in the formal leadership roles, you can't have people who are inspired cognitively, but not an embodied understanding of second tier. And then basically what happened, we I took all the goodies. The shea butter was not in the company. The network in Ghana was not in company. The business clients were. So basically, we needed to start again. And every period here, that's also why the snail is there. I'm going through longer than I'm supposed to. But this slide is about 12 to 15 years. So transformative change doesn't come in one day, and transformative change doesn't come only by success and only by moving upwards. So our road to success is paved with failures. The whole point is, do I learn from the things that I have done the next time when I try again? And what do I do differently? We had that experience with the center. Umar and I, we built the shea butter processing center. It collapsed. Let's try again, but better. We tried engaging and setting up a business in the Netherlands and organizing the international trading closer to how our potential business partners and sponsors might understand. It didn't work. Let's try better. And without that very painful period, and this I'm talking now about 2020 to 2022, which was the peak of COVID, which was also the same period where people in Ghana were dying like flies. And they did not die from COVID. It's a story for another time. But what was extra painful for me, and Umar was one of the people who became very, very ill. So from 2020 to 2024, we have been carrying him through whole West Africa and hospitals and treated by Western doctors to save his life, because his life has been in danger for 4 years. And so that has been very challenging for me. And what was made it even more challenging was that the people that I was working with in the Leap into Life Foundation and in the trading company didn't seem to care at all. So luckily, few people in that team did, and we continued. And from there, I returned to the initial idea. I don't want to end up in this situation where the business director says, I need the foundation to do my business better. So we started doing trading as a not-for-profit foundation. That also, so we left Leap into Life Foundation. The community and the chiefs in Ghana wrote a formal letter. Umar and I wrote a formal letter. And with 2 volunteers from the Leap into Life Foundation, we set up a new organization called Deepalia Foundation. And the Deepalia Foundation, we set it up as a Meshworks Foundation. So it is now officially acknowledged as by the Dutch government and by the Dutch tax authority as a Meshworks Foundation, as it was defined by Don Beck. It literally is in the statutes what a Meshworks Foundation is and what it is about. And part of it is Don Beck's his work. We also learned that in the business-to-business market, if we start paying women $2 per day net income, not much is remaining after. So the business-to-business market, certainly after COVID, has become more challenging. Less shea butter trading, more shea nut trading, and where all the prices are pushed up. So expenses of life, shea nuts for us to buy, electricity, water, etc. Prices are going up. buyers are wanting to buy for a lower price. Really interesting to see how our costs go up, but the buyers want to pay less. So we also took the step to developing our own natural skincare brand. So let's go directly into the consumer market. So where we started as a community with nothing, we went into international trading with middlemen. Then we cut out the middleman in the business to business trading. And then we took the next step into the consumer market directly as Deepalia. And since January this year, we have our own brand, Deepalia Raw. And people from everywhere in the world can buy a jar of Deepalia handcrafted shea butter as it is made by the women in Ghana. And people can even see which woman has made their jar of shea butter, because underneath there is a QR code where there is a 1-minute video where the woman who made that specific jar tells her story and what it means for the consumer to buy the shea butter from her and buy this shea butter. I will try to go to a closure so that there are a few slides that I shared most of it already. So Deepalia now is a meshwork of 3 organizations. We have a women's association in Ghana that makes shea butter. We have a foundation in the Netherlands that, if it can, it gives contracts to the women's association in Ghana to make shea butter. And the foundation guarantees that every woman who works on a contract from the foundation, every day that she works on that contract, has a net income of $2 per day. But the foundation gets more challenges on the business-to-business contracts. So the Women's Association is also producing for others who are paying less. And we learned that selling 1,000 jars of Deepalia Raw in the consumer market makes more money than selling 1,000 kilo in the business-to-business market. So for the foundation, it's much wiser to continue to focus on the consumer brand. And money is one thing, but also it is directly into the consumer market. So we make larger margins, but I think the most important thing is we connect the end buyer, the end user of this natural skincare product, directly with the producer, the women who have been making it for them. And how we organized it as a not-for-profit foundation, and it is transparent. It is simple, it is transparent, and it works. And we have a lot of problems with greenwashing because others don't trust us because of the lies of other people. And here, you don't have to believe us. You don't have to believe me. Our finance reports are public, so you can see it for yourself. So we have the money that the foundation generates with sales from shea butter is returned to Ghana and invested into and deposited into a community investment fund. And with the community investment fund, it has a plan to invest in organic farming. So from trying to become fair trade, and then we started calling it fair chain. We now have what we call return on extraction, because basically, if we want to heal the planet and the soil, and if we want to reduce poverty, we can do that. It is simple. If you don't want people to be poor, pay them enough so that they can sustain in the primary needs. That is why we have the UN poverty rate. If we Yeah, no, the other thing is more. So basically, by start paying people a humane wage, which is defined by the UN as $2 per day net minimum, you also create more sufficiency. The projects and the program of the Deepalia Community Investment Fund, uh, it is based on years of conversations with the farmers and what they want, and it is how they want to organize it. And I have the capacity to put it into words and to make a project and a program out of it. What is lacking is the funding to scale up there. And why is it lacking? Because we are small, because we are not compromising on our sharing of money and dividing of money. For paying large wages here. You know, there is such a disbalance between what we take from the rural communities and what is returned, and how it's returned. It's not really actually returned. So that is basically what we are trying, and that we are changing, and it works, and it can be done. And if we can do it with shea butter, it can also be done with other products. And that is where the foundation comes in. So the Women Make Shea Butter, the Deepalia Foundation, is about sustainable trading. And the foundation uh, has business case with shea butter working with the Women's Association in Ghana. And it's a prototype. It's an example. It's a grassroots example of a product that you can buy that does exactly what the foundation promises stands for. It's not a theory story. It is real. And it's real that everybody can touch it. And it's real because it comes from this long journey of 10, 15 years uh, of growth, learning, making mistakes, falling, standing up again, falling, standing up again, and to go on and to continue. So I think I already said most what is here. Shea butter trade is actually a means to a higher end. What it's all about is uh, uh, upscaling our organic farming. So farmers are using chemicals that are prohibited in Europe, but imported from Europe with subsidy, and they are using fertilizers and chemical pesticides that are prohibited here, but sold by Europeans to there, and nobody wants it. But they are just cheaper than organic homemade alternatives. Umar and I, we have experience with organic farming already for about 6-7 years. We can make our own organic fertilizers, and we can even use shea butter waste, production waste, as one of the ingredients. The best organic pesticides is made from neem seeds, and neem trees and neem seeds are everywhere. You only need to press them, and you have the best organic anti-insecticides. Everything is there. Everything is there to really create a solid base, a healthy community in Africa, which is investing in healthy soil, investing in healthy people. Because if people don't use the chemicals, we don't need to convince people that they should get off the chemicals, but they don't know how, and they cannot afford to lose their crops, or they don't have money to go into a more expensive alternative. So that's the catch-22 that they are in, and that we are trying, and that we are breaking. It is all about healthy soil, healthy communities, and healthy people as a basis for a healthy international supply chain. In our case, it is shea butter. And to have money flow in a healthy way and circulate. And there is enough for everybody, but not everybody has enough. Uh, Earth provides enough food for every mouth, human mouth, to be fed. Uh, and it's all a way of how we have organized things and how we have divided things. And basically, that is what we are doing. We are organizing in a different way and dividing in a different way. And it can be done. It can be done. And not easy. We are there and we are moving forward and looking at the steps that we have taken now. We don't know. Everything is still fragile. And at the same time, it's amazing that from nothing, with the basis of friendship between two men who are from complete different realities, complete different worldviews, working together, ending up with a consumer brand product, which is high quality, which has high class. It is developed by professional developers as not only as a high quality brand, but it also a luxury brand. Dipalia is a luxury brand, and we hope that we can make a next step into organic farming as soon as possible. And we know that we cannot make it that step soon enough from shea butter sales only, unless a miracle happens. And we see how important it is because the communities are more and more challenged. So I think this is where I should really stop now. Yeah. So thank you for listening until now, and well, I hope it was clear. I hope it was well. I don't know. Are there questions? Do we have time for questions, Auke, or should we go into breakout rooms?
Okay, you're muted.
Okay, I was talking to myself apparently. Thanks, Alain.
Trust we will be
And-
sharing the slides after, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe you can stop sharing it now, Alain. That would be great. And I would suggest we do have a short Q&A right now, and then we go into breakout. Any questions? Anybody?
Len, Saeed, how are you?
Yeah, good to see you.
See you. I was sitting at my desk, but I decided to be a little more comfortable, so I'm stretched out on my couch. Um, One question I had is how much of the supply chain or the processing of the shea butter could be done locally instead of having it be done by outsiders? Because it seems to me that the end product, without having so many middle people, that the end product has a certain price in the market that it's going to. And to improve your profit margins for the woman to have an entire community for that matter, to have a better chance at living better lives, process as much of that shea butter as possible to have it become as close as possible to a finished product before it's shipped out to your trade partners. Is that possible? Is that setting up extra production facilities that are not affordable, or what's the barrier from letting that happen?
Yeah, it's a great question. There you see how European rules and the power of money are also used as whips and chains. To use shea butter in food or to use shea butter in cosmetics, but food, which is 95% of the market, it needs to be processed. It needs to be either be refined or it needs to be fractionated. And there are three key players who know how to do the refining and the fractioning. And those are also three companies that are monopolizing and capitalizing and exploiting the shea market. And that has after COVID, that has even got worse. So you need, luckily, that in the Netherlands there's one refinery that does refining on contract base. Otherwise, we could not even have provide our shea butter here to professional cosmetics companies that we are selling to and cosmetics producers that we are selling to. They want, according to European laws, it must be within a certain limitation that only can be done if it's refined or fractionated, which only a few players can do. So that is what we do with our consumer brand products. Is it's the shea butter as it's made by the women in Ghana, unrefined, because with refining also the vitamins and the minerals, they get lost or you lose some of it. So what we do as Dipalia is the butter as it's made by the women in Ghana. The only thing we do is we whip it because it's colder here, keep it soft, and we add a little bit of vitamin E for longer shelf life, natural vitamin E, and that is what is sold. So we are selling the product that the women are making in Ghana, but we are filling it here. And of course, I would like to have as much as possible in Ghana or in Africa. But you know, I'm already overstretching on the systemic level, and then this was just one step too far. I don't trust. I saw one refinery in Africa, but I don't trust their quality. You know, if I want to sell here, I want to trust the quality myself. And yeah. I'm grateful that there is a refinery in the Netherlands that can do it for us on contract base. Otherwise, the three companies, and each one of them is as large as Unilever, and they are the same companies that have destroyed and are dominating the palm oil industry. So sorry for a long answer to your question. It's a great question.
Yeah. Thank you. That was wonderful. Yes.
Any other questions?